What I have here is an egg, and if I throw this egg at a solid object, it's going to break. But just in case you don't believe me, there we go. However, if I take this egg, the one that's lucky, and I throw this at a draping fabric that is hanging, it is not going to break. And that science works for throwing projectiles that aren't eggs. So what just happened? How did this egg not break and getting thrown with decent force into this hanging fabric? Well, this fabric does an incredibly good job at dissipating the force gained by me throwing this egg into the fabric. The force is dispelled across, the inertia is lost in the egg, and the egg doesn't break. Now this is of course great news for the egg, but also great news for you who would have been hit by the force generated by the egg unless it was interfered by the fabric dispelling the energy. But Adam, you ask, why are you throwing an egg at a fabric, and how does that have anything to do with ancient Greek warfare? Well, we see fabric and furs being used as a form of makeshift shield by peltasts. You might see them like Count Dracula holding up this whilst throwing a javelin or throwing a stone or slinging. And we even see shield curtains hanging off of aspides or certain hoplite shields for a relatively brief period of time. Well, in the same way that it dispelled the energy generated by the egg across the fabric, that will do the same for other thrown projectiles. For instance, this javelin here. You might expect the javelin or even an arrow to go quite easily through fabric. However, this might surprise you in how difficult that might be. Now, this is a relatively thin blanket, so I've doubled it up to try and simulate a slightly heavier duty of fabric or even a fur. And this, hopefully, is still going to stop that javelin. So the point poked through a small amount. However, you can still sort of see how that energy generated by this javelin is taken largely and spread across the draping fabric. You can imagine that with a fur or a heavy-duty wool or even a heavy-duty linen, that is going to work a lot more than this cheap blanket that I've hung up. Now that doesn't mean that you won't be able to throw through it. I have a sneaky suspicion that this spear, aided by the force generated by an ankyle, is going to go through this decently easily. And I was wrong. That one, and that's interesting because I hit lower down, that one did not go through at all, and there's a lot more force generated behind this spear. So just again, I'm going to do that to show you how a draping fabric can dissipate the energy generated by a throw and basically offer excellent protection. And again with the short one, demonstrates excellently how a draping fabric can offer excellent protection against thrown projectiles, and that holds still against arrows and stones, which are really what these peltasts are coming up against. They're sort of warding off other peltasts, stopping peltasts from surrounding their heavy infantry. And if you don't have a shield, simply holding up your chlamys or a fur, a deer skin, can actually offer pretty good protection against thrown projectiles coming towards you. And that's likely a reason why we see shield curtains popping up for a relatively small period of time around the Persian Wars. Lots of Persian arrows that are going to get shot and caught up in that shield curtain. It might still hit you, but it's not really going to do enough to significantly wound you or take you out of the battle unless you are unlucky. And I'm sure if I hit towards the top of that hang where there's not as much fabric weighing down, that I'm going to be able to go through it. But let's just give it a go. No. Now, that did go through, but that still took a very large amount of force and power generated by me throwing and the aid of the ankyle and the weight of this 6-foot-long spear, and disperse that through that fabric. So yes, we often don't associate fabric being a good form of protection on its own. We know quilted fabrics like gambeson and possible linothorax construction methods offer excellent protection. We know that layered linen armors can offer excellent protection. However, many people underestimate the power of the protection granted to just draping fabric. And that's a really great example about how someone who doesn't even have money to have a shield can actually still protect themselves pretty well against thrown projectiles by just having a draping piece of fabric. So I really hope that you found that little demonstration interesting. But when we see in artwork peltas holding sort of cloaks up like that, throwing javelins, slinging stones over the top, that just little drape of wool or deer skin or goat skin, whatever it is, can actually offer a pretty significant amount of protection, and it could very much be the difference between life and death, or safety and a big gash. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and learnt something. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please consider checking out our channel memberships. Special thanks to our channel members for continually supporting the channel. It truly does mean a lot. If you can't do that or don't want to, absolutely no problem at all. Liking and subscribing is a great help, and sharing these videos around to our little niche audience here online really helps these videos reach more people. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.